What up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? It is Matty P and Marky D here with another episode back live again. I've done my little bit of traveling around, but you guys still got a show. You still got me in person. But here live now with Marky D, training camps into the thick of it. It's exciting times, all things Steelers. Joe Porter Jr. Sorted out his contract. I think that was always going to be the case. I think he wanted more guaranteed money. It was interesting. They asked him about the details, and he said, "Oh, well, it was due to some terms in my contract, but that's for my agents and team, and I'll leave that to them." So I kind of thought that was interesting. It's interesting as well, I think, with that contract because rookies get what rookies get. But hey. But Marky D, how you feeling?
I'm doing pretty good, mate. Football's back. Let's go.
Yeah, you're pumped. Okay. You're pumped.
I'm really pumped. It's here. I'm ready.
So it's funny because we're kind of like we're kind of like on the, let's say, not to the end of the spectrum, but I'm kind of like, just warming up. You're like absolutely pumped. I want to see full football, like even preseason football. I just want to see like pro football jerseys on, stuff like that. However, I've been like that for the last few days. Woke up this morning. It's only 9 a.m. now here. Woke up at about 8 o'clock. Saw some highlights on Instagram.
Right.
And then I'm starting to feel a bit more keen. But I'm not quite where you're at yet. I'm not quite where you're at.
I'm just ready to go. I'm ready to see. Like I just like it's fun now. It's like there's no speculation. There's the speculation. There's limited speculation. We're seeing players on the field, and also like all the beat writers now have to comment on the field, not like, well, this guy turned up to Steelers camp. It's like, well, he's there, right? Well, this guy, it's like, no, you're seeing what is happening on the field. And it's like, it feels good to have no over dramatization of the product that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's the new era. It's a Kenny Pickett era. Everyone's going out there. The guys are in football and shorts. They're wearing the new training camp colors, which looks pretty cool to me. I'm fine with it. It's all right. But it's not like, there's no like, will this guy trade this guy? It's like, just let them play. And we're watching them play. They're having fun. This is a good time right now.
Yeah, 100%. I hit the nail on the head there. And what I like, you said it there, it's the new era. Everything just feels cleaner about everything. You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of like, it just feels cleaner. It's sharper. And by cleaner, I mean, people are just locked in and focused. There's not like, I know there's always going to have drama with contracts and stuff, but I feel like we had all these narratives and storylines and all these different things, which you still have now. But like, I feel like we had all these negative ones. Now it's just all about improvement. I think the team's gotten a lot more, and by the team, I mean the franchise on the whole, it's locked in. It's super. Like, I think they've said we're here to compete for championships for a long time, when that's not really been, it doesn't feel like that's what they've been focused on, right? Which is a tough thing to say. I think it's a criticism that I think some people will not like. But I feel like this team is locked in. Like Patrick Peterson, how do we get the Super Bowl? Cam Hayward interview. The interviewer was like, the minimum for us is winning a playoff game. Like, I know they're things you've heard before, but it's what we're seeing like already on the field. It's what we're seeing from every single person locked in. It's like even the interviews with like Kevin Dotson, right? He could have been all mopey. He wasn't. He was keen. He's like ready to go. Everyone talks about Dan Moore Jr. He knew that Steelers wouldn't go after a tackle in the draft. They would have known that. Came back bigger, stronger. People really liking that. So I think it's kind of crazy. George, but great live chats already in here as usual, which is fantastic. Devil George, Jeremiah, and Brian Brown, of course. So let's bring up the first one before we get into the Steelers, guys. I know you were pretty thrilled to see this.
I wasn't thrilled to see that he was injured.
No, but you were thrilled to see they were having some turmoil.
I wouldn't mind him missing time, but not. That's what you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like if he was out, say for instance, like it happened and he was out the season, I'd go, oh no, but then instantly run down the bank and get out about $100,000 to go put a big bet on. That's what I'd probably do.
Yeah,
to be honest, right? But it's not good to see someone injured. But I'm glad he's back because when we're Steelers beat the Bengals, if the Bengals don't have Joe Burrow, oh, you're only won because of this. No. We're going to win now because Joe Burrow is good to maybe great, and we're going to beat you. TJ Watt's going to beat you, and so is Minka.
I haven't
But,
seen footage of what happened. Have you seen footage of what happened?
yeah, he kind of like he pulled his calf or something. He pulled his calf muscle or something. So he's out for like several
But
weeks.
someone didn't slam into him or anything.
No, he just was running, just running. And the next minute, his right leg was like, and then he fell over.
Interesting. Is it the same leg that his ACL?
I have no idea. I don't know which one it
If
was.
it is, I reckon they've stuffed up rehab. But anyway,
It was his right
g'day,
right
Steph.
leg. I think his right leg. I'm pretty sure.
So now DJ, that was the one that I saw before we were starting to get prepped to get on the show. So DJ was carted off. I think there were 4 Steelers carted off.
Yes, for
Most due
heat.
to
Yes, there's also because I guess you know what I guess what's the rumors come out really fast because we see it happening. Like, oh no, injury. Just wait about an hour or so or 2 hours, and then you'll find out the reason. Mike Tomlin said it was for heat, and it was really hot out there today. It was like 100 degrees or 90 degrees. It was really hot, and even Mike Tomlin said in the press conference, his very first few words was, "Oh, I like the heat. It makes everyone uncomfortable." I like that.
Do you know what's funny though? Like, I know you got all the gear on. Like, don't get me wrong. Started preseason in rugby, like it was like same stuff like weather as this. You start in the summer, and that was brutal. Like brutal. Like and to the point there were sessions I remember doing when I was like 18, 19, and we wouldn't even have our normal jerseys on. We just have singlets on because and I mean we don't wear pads in rugby, and we'd like go full contact with that just because it was too hot to wear anything.
Mhm.
Like other than like a very very thin mesh shirt. But I like did a lot of track, and we trained all year round for track, and like I always found I was better in the heat than the cold. But it's hard when you're used to being. The Pittsburgh Steelers are funny. Like they're one of the teams where you've got to train in the super hot,
Yeah,
and then you could be playing
you
in
play
the
in the
snow.
playing the cold in December when it's like freezing.
Yeah,
But no, I think it was like 3 players. There was DJ, Connor Hayward, and someone else carted off just for
yeah.
heat, and maybe just for precaution. But nothing to read into it too much. It was an injury. I'm okay with that. It's fine. But yeah, you just got to wait until
Well, that's
the
the other
news
thing.
comes out.
Like, it's the people go, oh, they're in a cart. It's the NFL and the age of social media.
Do you really want them to walk that
If they're
far?
standing on the sidelines throwing up, passing out because of heat, and because of they're just like out there, it's not a good look for the NFL. Of course, they're
No.
sticking them on a cart.
But do you want them to walk back all the way to the
Yeah,
dorms?
like when you're
Like,
when you're in the under 10s, walk back to the
ah,
clubhouse.
mate, walk it off, son. You'll be right. Do the old Lawrence Timmons on the field.
Well, Matt, but
So
imagine like Joey Byron was did his calf. Imagine if DJ stuffs his calf because he's like all tired and he's just struggling up the hill and he falls over, right? Like,
oh yeah,
you know,
it'd be controversy if they did that. It's like when they pick those guys up and they get them on the it's bad the ambulances and they get them on the cart and stuff when the soccer comes out. The guys on the football field and they carry him, and then the other guy falls over like the guy carrying the guy.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm
Imagine what that was like in
fine.
the wars, like in World War One, where they had
Getting shot at.
yeah, you're like running through the thing. Like there's that movie with Andy Garfield.
I couldn't. I remember watching The Patriot. We talked about it the other day, right?
The Patriot, best movies made of all time.
Right, there was
Beautiful.
guys like singing or like playing the trumpet as they're walking into battle. Imagine that, And here we are. I want to get into like the PC stuff, but I'm like,
but that's why the US destroyed England, because they basically went, we're not doing this stupid thing with it was basically team captains behind those armies. And then after a certain amount of people were dead, they'd go and negotiate who wins or loses, right? And they're like, absolutely
just go,
not.
by the way, yeah, you've lost your spine. We won. Okay, no worries. I think it'd be. It's
Brian
crazy.
brings up. We'll get into the legends losers things shortly, but and we're going to clarify the definition of legends. But Brian Brown says they have to be careful. The cheater, it's my. That's the thing that I must admit. Like, it's great for me to wake up on the other side of the world and see 4 Steelers Instagram channels that aren't mass media, all showing the Calvin Austin play, all showing, Kenny Pickett's 45-yard run. But I don't like that there's that much intel out there and around. Do you know what I mean?
When do they start to put it behind the closed doors around?
So they start to move it into the different, the stuff that's open, stuff that's closed. I mean, look, and at the end of the day, they're not going to stray. They're going to add things to the offense. I'm not saying we're going to see what we saw last year, but they're not. It's not a complete rewrite of the philosophy. And you can know what someone's doing, but you still got to stop it. You know, like
Yeah.
you think about wrestling, you're a massive wrestling fan. Everyone's got a signature move. Like you know what's coming. It's just how good are you at executing, right? Like,
Well, I used to watch Ric Flair was my favorites. He's my favorites, guys. You know, he was like the old school wrestler, but he had the
holy
good chop.
dooly.
Holy dooly! That's what I'm saying. Like, we're hyped up. It's here. It's back.
Yeah,
Football's
that's it.
back, man.
I feel like my Hooli Dooley works on Michael O'Malley too because he's got the O between his names and like the Hooli Dooley. You know what I mean? Like it's good. Like so when I read Michael O'Malley Hooli Dooley, like it's got a good like
Michael O'Hooley Dooley Malley.
yeah, change their name. But all right, so legends. So Mark and I don't really do the slang thing anymore. That was a novelty back when we were with BTSC, and we never really liked
Retired it. Done.
But Australians, like obviously there's no one at camp, maybe bar Patrick Peterson, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, and Minka Fitzpatrick, and Mike Tomlin, that is a Steelers legend. But one of the things that in our culture is you might just say someone does something really good, like you make a good play, like our legend, right? I don't know, Mark, do you guys say this up the coast? I grew up, we called people ledge, right? So you'd be like, hey, ledge, or you're a ledge. Like, let's say someone buys your beer out of nowhere, right? Like your mate goes to the talk, comes back with a beer at a bar. You're like, yeah, cool. Like you're a ledge.
I'm a bit more formal. I finished the whole word, so I say legend. So I don't say ledge. I never really said ledge. Not my style. You know.
Interesting.
But are we getting into a topic like when we say legend, right? Because I got not yelled. I got like a bad comment the other day because I called someone a legend, and they're like, "You don't even know what a legend is." I'm like, "Well, it's a different saying in Australia. Like you could do it,
and that's why it's there in the title. Like, and I think the other thing too is there's legends like you're Mean Joe Green. You're a legend, but people create there's legends which are stories, right? Like Kenny Pickett running 5 yards is a legend.
I could legit buy you a pie and you'd say you're a legend. And I go, yeah, damn right. And here's your pie.
But that's my point. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about this from training camp. We're not talking about like, oh my God, Mean Joe Green lined up in, pads today. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, I got accused by someone in the comments. It was like, he's not a legend. I'm like, he is. He's a legend. But I don't know. It's just different slang.
Yeah, there's that other argument going on the comments of the press conference with a Pittsburgh fan calling out any of us that's international.
Who's doing that?
You were in those comments with me. I jumped in.
I can't remember. There's a lot of people yelling at me, by the way. So a lot of Bengals fans, a lot of other people out there.
Hey Jennifer.
There's a lot of commenters that I've banned that have yelled at me for that. So it happens. It is what it is.
So all right, let's get into the training camp stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Calvin Austin, the first day or two, has a lot of drops. That's the narrative, right? I didn't see any of the drops. Like, I had a busy week at work. I didn't see anything on any of the. I didn't really see anyone show any video of the drops. Then he comes out overnight. Or today, like live for those of you in the US, and has what looks like a good day camp, like the 45-yard where he raked it in with Holcomb and Neal. Can I just say too? Can everyone stop the Holcomb's only good at stopping the run? Like Holcomb's athletic. I said that since they got him. I said that on the breaking news show we had on this thing, and he ran down Calvin Austin. So yeah, I did see that, Jennifer.
Yes,
I did see Matt Canada.
He's a legend.
that's a legend story of training camp.
It is like that's kind of funny. I kind of like Matt Canada more for that. I think that's great.
But this will be a thing. If they start winning games, the toilet seat will become a thing, and that's crazy because in Australia, the soccer championship, like our MLS league version of the MLS, they have the trophy and it's a big circle, and people call it we nickname it in Australia the toilet seat. And so in the when people go to the championship game, the fans will come waving toilet seats. And if you think I'm lying, you can Google it, but don't Google it and leave the show. Google it after the show.
They did it with Duck when Duck was a thing, right? They brought ducks to the thing, so maybe they'll bring toilet seats for Canada. And
you know what he could do? He could put the toilet seat on his wide brim hat. Like he could just sit it on top. It could be his new thing.
Extra protection from the sun.
Yeah, then he could have then he won't end up like DJ on the cart.
But you know what though? It's good on him for being a sport. I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Like good on him for being a sport and saying, "Here you go, man. I'll someone his toilet seat."
That's a good way to change.
What does that bloke think of taking a toilet seat to training camp? That's nuts.
Well, he's there. Everyone knows about him now.
Yeah, true.
Anyway,
So
so Calvin Austin, back to Calvin Austin. And everyone talks about the drops. And usually I'd actually care about that. But the
Jen, win. Comment of the day, win.
Can we keep the alliteration going though? Can we have the Canada crapper? Like,
oh, that's good. Oh, Jen.
um,
She broke the news to me yesterday about Joe Burrow. I was the first to hear it from Jen. You know that? She killed it.
Jen's superstar.
Mate, I think she's part of the media. She's not telling us. Not telling us.
Yeah, she's got one of the microphones in there when she's speaking to him. Yeah, so that's Calvin Austin. And everyone talked about the drops, and I saw like Steelers social media, and obviously not the channels, I'm talking about just in general, going off and going nuts about it, and those drops. And I'm sitting there going, Jamar Chase dropped the ball the whole training camp in his rookie year and came out and obliterated everyone in the NFL. Like, I don't buy into some of that narrative. But I do want to get into people that have been performing early and performing well. There's a lot of talk about Joey Porter Jr. There's always going to be with the contract stuff. There was always going to be, given the history, and he was a ball boy and all those sorts of things. I did find it interesting, though, around just how much Patrick Peterson was talking about him moving around. Now, that's not a surprise of what we heard at minicamp. But, like, and then you also find that interesting because that brings up the versatility that we talked about a lot. And then you had DeMarvin Leal come out and talk about everywhere he's going to line up.
True. I saw that. That was good.
I say what I thought about earlier on in the offseason. I think this team's going to play some 4-3.
You reckon?
Yeah.
They play you said one snap last year, you said, wasn't it?
One snap, but I think they're building this team to play 4-3. Not now. I'm not saying they're going to shift from a 3-4 to a 4-3. I just think you're going to see 4-3.
They also had to. Cameron Hayward was talking a few things about how he needs to take off reps. Do you think that plays into it?
Correct. Yes, because DeMarvin Leal is not the defensive end that Hayward is. Benton could do what Hayward does, right? With obviously training and development and all those things. In fact, I would argue like I was a lot younger when Hayward came out, but I would argue that Benton might even be a little bit more, I don't know if athletic's the right word, but yeah, probably athletic. I just think he's got a bit more power, a bit more speed there. But I think pulling, put it this way, you could have a pass rush set that has TJ, Alex Highsmith, DeMarvin Leal, Keanu Benton, you might have like Fiore
and one middle linebacker, right? Is that
correct?
Like
one middle linebacker, right? Like you could have Holcomb in there, or even have Neal come down depending on what you're doing. Because this is the other thing I could see them doing. I think with the three safeties, they could have particularly when start getting the sub package rather in this instance rather than a 4-3. But you could have Kazi as like the deep safety, Minka in as like a more in the strong safety spot. Then you got Neal come closer into the box with like a Holcomb, and you've still got four guys rushing the passer. I think they're going to do some really creative things with this defense.
So if they play a 4-3, like not all the time, but they do it right. You have Cameron Hayward, you have Benton, Leal, and Ogunjobi, correct? Like for the set, and then you have Highsmith and those on the outside. So can Highsmith?
Yeah, Ogunjobi's the name I forgot there. Yeah.
Is Highsmith and TJ then have to try and cover as well? Because
one of them has to step back, and a lot of people. I know, Brian. They're going to be a 3-4, but I'm just talking about what the possibilities are in pass rush sets with a 4-3. So although you're probably joking, I probably thought a bit hard. But put it this way: people will want Highsmith coming down, but TJ's so athletic. Like the interception with the Bengals last year, the interception he had in his
got two
first game of his career. So I would be dropping TJ back. Right, and I'd be rushing Highsmith, and it's actually better as well if they chose to run it because Highsmith does have really good run defense.
Is there ways where you can send six of them, all six of them at once, and then just keep?
That gives you the option, yeah,
like the blitz. But I guess, yeah. You know what though? I'm not saying change the whole philosophy or scheme, but bring it in, man. Why not? Why not?
Because you could even have though, if you really wanted to, right? They give you so many options. You could take out Holcomb from that, put in Neil, right? So then you bring Minka even closer, and you bring Patrick Peterson and Kazi as your two deeper safeties.
Right.
So they got some options there. I actually think Levi Wallace could work well on deeper like that too. But hey, what's up, Dante?
But it's cool though to see that. I think that everyone says, "Well, who's going to be the starting middle linebacker?" It's like, well, you can have your starters, but they're also going to have all these different identities and schemes. So, you know what I mean?
Well,
I think we're going to see
actually,
a
you know
lot.
a name I forgot there who would be really helpful in a 4-3 rather than even Holcomb is Herbig. Yeah, Herbig
Yeah,
would be
right.
helpful there. And you
But
talked about
he's
having
been well
Hayward in
too.
that front four. I'm saying you take Hayward out sometimes, right? Because you
Okay.
could rush TJ. Because TJ's big enough in a 4-3 that you can rush him as an end there, right? So you could have Benton, Ogunjobi, Leal, and Heiss and TJ on the outside. And then on the inside is your three linebackers. You could have Holcomb, Herbig, and Highsmith could come down and you'd be rushing 5.
Leal was talking about something where he said he pretty much didn't care where he was playing. He just wanted to play kind of thing. So he didn't care if he stood up or,
So this is
different
the other
position.
thing. This makes me think that if Herbig performs, Marcus Golden, as long as there's no injuries on the defensive line, Golden could become a trade target. He could be again like a Mark Ingram, because the reality is you're going to have the outside linebackers are TJ, Highsmith, Herbig, Golden, then plus Leal. That's 5. Now historically, we've always had an injury there, but what's it going to be? And that's why I think even if it's not a 4-3, it's going to be a sub package that looks a lot like a 4-3.
Yeah, and that's what we've been, I think, talking about all in the offseason too, about certain positions. And people say, well, who's going to be the top 2 middle linebackers? I'm like, well, you might sub in Neil, or you might bring this guy down, or Pat Peterson might fill in here. And it's like these guys, like they're all good defenders. They've been playing for a long time. It's like, they've learnt the basics. Let's put some cool packages in, and now you've got. I can't wait to see the actual defense.
Yeah, well, I'm into dynasties. I'm not into one season wonders, but but the other thing that tells me this too was when they never went and got out and got a fully coverage linebacker. Like I think Holcomb's a lot more athletic than anyone gives him credit for. I think he's a 3 down, I call him a 3 down, 4 down middle linebacker. But the fact that you brought Neil in, who's this kind of more of a box linebacker, can play a bit of safety. That's what he's proven in his career. We don't even have he's not like a Terrell Edmonds necessarily. So you bring him in, then you're changing his safety set. I just think it all ladders up to a lot more 4-3. But anyway, whatever.
How does George write that so fast? That that the trades thing there with the pitcher. I couldn't do that really fast.
He's got the cool car. I love the cool car.
No idea how to make that face, but I agree with you, man. I'm excited to see all kinds of different things on the defense because it's going to be awesome to watch. And yeah, when Hayward said, I won't be in there as much, it's like, well, now the other guy's got to step up.
But how good is that? We've been so happy about that.
Yep, big time.
But you know what else? It's because to do with Benton. If Benton wasn't as ready to go as he is, I like saying that name, Benton. It's like powerful.
Yeah, Keanu Benton's a pretty good name. It's a pretty, and we know
I kind of feel like he's going to be one of my next jerseys. I'm on that train. I'm so on that train. I think I think Benton is going to be the sort of player that we look back on. We're like, how do we get him in the 3rd?
Right. Do you think okay? But here's the question I just fell into after all this discussion. Do you think
second. He was our second pick in the 3rd round.
Does he start? Does it matter if he starts? Starts or not? We're just gonna.
Yeah, but it's not. How many starts does Pro Football Focus?
That's what we always fall into. We always fall into that, don't we?
I know, but that's if you're not on the field at the start of the game, you're not started. So it's like, but no, I say starting is playing more than 72% or 75% of the snaps. You have to look at it each year to work out who's the majority player. But yeah, I do. I think he'll be playing a lot, big time. Yeah,
I agree. I hope so. I like him.
But we want it because we want not this year and next year out of Cam. We want an extra year because if he gets the extra year, he probably gets the Super Bowl. Probably is a big statement, but
Well, yeah, there's a pretty big window right now when you think about this team.
The window's very. So there was some chatter about that during the week. During the week as well. The window's massive. You've got bookend left tackle with Roderick Jones. You got Adana Washington. You've got Pickens there with him as well. You've got Najee's still got 2 or 3 years left on the contract, which if you count the 5th-year option, right? Like, or 2 years after this year. You've got guys like Joe Porter and Trice. And Trice, even if Trice takes 2 years to develop, that's a very cheap, like, top 2 or 3, like, cornerback. Minka's there. TJ's there. Highsmith's there. Holcomb's on a 3-year deal. Like, the nucleus, and Herbig's there now for 4 years. Like, and I mean, like, Nick, not Nate. So, like, you've got the nucleus, and Siamalu's there for 3 years. James Daniels got 1 year after this. Did he sign a 3 or 4 year deal? I think 3-year deal.
Who's that? Sorry?
Daniels. I think he only signed a 3-year deal when he
Three.
joined. Yeah, he did. Yeah, so he's got 1 year after this. But, like, the heart of the defense is all freaking there. All freaking there.
It's almost like Omar Khan knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I do think they need to go out and get a strong safety in next year's draft. I think if they can't get a top, they need to spend an early pick on that just to make sure this defense is lights out. But
the overall package, what we've just been talking about for the 6 players, 5 players, all the guys on the front. Even someone said, I think Brian Brown said front 7 is going to be amazing, right? It is. It looks, if we're all healthy, it looks fantastic. They're all buying in. Highsmith wants one. Cam wants one. TJ wants one. Holcomb's got a new team. He's away from the Commanders. He was a captain. He's ready, right? These guys are ready to play. They're ready to play.
You know what? And Holcomb's going to put some pride back in the 55 jersey.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, he's ready.
So you talked about it a lot off air with me before we went on, which is like the hardest thing, guys, is that, like, guys and gals, is that Mark and I get talking before we did the show. Yeah. And then it's like 10 minutes go by and we're like, man, we probably should have talked about all that content on the show.
You don't want to be rude and say nothing, just like sit there as a mute and be like, and then start the show. Yeah. But sometimes you probably should, because that's getting the natural reaction. But exactly. What did I say in the off?
So we talked about a lot about Kenny Pickett and the legend.
Oh yeah, Kenny, let's go.
The legend of Kenny Pickett keeps growing. Yeah, 45-yard run, looked quick. His acceleration's good. And I think a lot of that, I mean, that's the thing. Everyone's like, oh, he ran the 45 yards. But if you look at his acceleration as he passes the line of scrimmage in the first 5 yards after that, he rockets. And he's put on a lot of size up top. And I think you can see it. And you can see it in the way he's moving. And, like, you can look and say, oh, yeah, he's put on size. That helps him, like, not get injured and cop the hits. And he talks about that and how AFC North football is different. But one of the things that I'm noticing in his play overall, and I'm noticing even in the interviews and stuff like that, and it's something that even in my own life at the moment, as I do my wedge shred, I'm doing a lot more core, and it's making a big difference in just how I feel. And he's talked a lot about how much core he's been doing, and you can see it because when he went to accelerate, you could see the power, like, coming through, like, top down as he, like, pressed forward. You see it even the way he's swinging the ball. He's a lot more stable. Mm. And so he talks about this core, the amount of core that he's been doing. I heard that in 2 different interviews this week or over the past week. And I think it was like 2 in 3 days. It's making a massive difference. I think he looks rock solid. I reckon he'd be 15 pounds heavier.
Yeah, probably. It definitely looks bigger from the photos I've seen. I just like his confidence, man. I think his confidence is key.
Yeah.
He's now the number 1 quarterback for the team, and the Steelers know that. The receivers know that. The offense knows that. The defense knows that. They're checking in. Peterson's all, Cam's are all talking about him. It's Kenny Pickett's team, and he's got to go lead them to victory. That's it. And he doesn't need to be the only one to lead them to victory too. He's got to be a part of it, right? Doesn't need to be to win the game all on his shoulders, but he's going to be a part of this reason why they are winning. And I also like how he's interacting with the fans and signing autographs. He's doing everything right to get everyone rallied behind him. So when they go to Heinz Field and they're versing the 49ers, it's Kenny coming out of the gate. Everyone gets excited. Do you know why they get excited? Because the Steelers are back and Kenny's back and we're ready to go. That's why. And the media says, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. They have no idea. The NFL media, don't listen to them. They haven't been following like us in the chat or podcast here. They have no idea what he's been doing. And what he's been doing is showing me that he's confident, he can throw the ball, and he's learning the play.
He looks a lot sharper. The passes.
He does. And they're talking
I would call out Still Out West. Enjoy Costco. Put us on the Bluetooth in the car and on the way there. But what I liked is the variation on passing. You saw the bomb to Calvin Austin. You saw the acceleration from him. You saw the pass to Allen Robinson. I don't know if have you seen the highlight of that one where Allen Robinson. What I loved about that pass, it was really close. It was about 10 to 15 yards out, and it's not doing the rounds as much. But it's a throw into the end zone, contested. It's a bit of a contested catch. The cornerback comes forward. and it's an inside, like, so he hits an inside route, like as the ball is getting thrown and whips inside to grab it in that. And like, I love that because that's a classic third down type play. It probably, to me, it probably looked like it might have been, the 2-minute drill, 7 shots kind of thing. But I just like that. It doesn't matter what Kenny's doing. It just seems locked in. And everyone, Kaboli, right before we went live, I saw an article from Kaboli talking about everyone loves Kenny Pickett and it's a different narrative. And he was seen and not heard last year. Like, you're making everyone buy in. And there's a lot of the roster that was,
and there's a reason to as well.
Ben, with Big Ben, and he's been fully received, if you like, by the team.
But the thing is, like, all the guys from Steel Nation Radio, those kind of dudes, and the articles I'm reading and stuff like that, the guys that are there, they're like, yeah, he looks different. He's got different arm power. He's understanding the offense more. He's been working out with everyone. Like, he's like, this is what we want. Like, if you want to say, oh, Kenny's the worst, that makes no sense. He can't really get any worse because the work he's putting in should make him better. In reality, he's working every day, every single day to throw the football. From working with Pickens, and they're all. Do
you know what I love as well? He talked about Minka's his teammate in the film room, right?
True. Smart man.
Right? Think about the brain on Minka. And Minka sat out a few days early in camp, and they talked about this on the Steelers postgame show.
And you know what? That's fine too, by the way. That's fine.
Yeah, but they were talking about that on the postgame show with Mike Prasuta and that sort of stuff, like where he was basically saying like, he's doing mental reps sitting there with the coaches. I love that. Minka, that's exactly the role you want. Minka's proven it on the field. He needs to participate in some of the days because he needs to get conditioning, but ease him in. But him seeing where teams are going, that's an intangible that week 11, when you're down by 7 points in the fourth quarter, he come through and he makes an interception or a bone-jarring hit, and it's a fumble.
Because he's read that.
You can link that back to the mental rep of how you schemed all that stuff up.
But why do people just go, "Oh, he's out. This is really bad"? No, you're missing the idea. Minka being back there,
people don't get it, right?
Minka being back there is fantastic.
So I love the idea of Kenny and Minka in the same room together doing the film. What that's going to do, like, you're literally pairing one of the best safeties in the NFL with a quarterback like Kenny. And like that learning that he's getting as well is like absolutely huge.
It shows you that they both want to win. If you get your defense in order, I'll get my offense in order. Let's go. They both want to win.
It's a bit, and it's this changing of the guard between like Ben and Hayward to like to Minka and I'm like, I also put TJ Watt in that mix. But the thing about that I've noticed, I mean, I just outlaid like $400+ on an authentic TJ jersey. Like, trust me, like I get the legend of TJ, right? But like, yeah, I promise I got promoted at work like a couple months back. So
spend the coin, man. It's all good. It's TJ. He's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere. He's a Steelers legend. But you don't want to have too much pressure on TJ. You want TJ to go and do his thing. And the other thing about TJ too is that he's sitting there on that line and he's can't totally be a leader, but he can be a leader by the plays he makes on the field. Like, Minka has to be that like marshal and that captain of the defense back there and policing it around. But like what I do, as I said, I'm really impressed with this. Everyone's buying into the train. Everyone's buying into the hype train. Everyone's buying into we have to do our individual bits to make this work.
Yes, 100%.
So I guess I've got a question for you. Are there any losers right now in training camp?
None. Next question.
This is where you're wrong. You know who the losers are? The rest of the freaking AFC North and the rest of the AFC. This team is freaking.
Oh, you went that direction.
I went that direction. I got you on a caught and audible. There you go.
Right. Okay. Why is that then? Why do you think it's the rest of the AFC North?
Yeah. So I think the Bengals. I'll start with the Bengals, right? The Bengals had a bit of turnover this year, and people say their line's better. I'm not sure that it is. I think that turnover there. They lost a couple of key guys from that they've had in their team over the last few years. That's going to be important. I know you're a big fan of Mike Hilton. I think they're going to ask more of him, and I don't think that's going to work. Remember, I said when he went over there, I'm like, this is bad. They're not going to know how to use him, and they've used him where possible, like how the Steelers used him. I don't think they're going to do that this year from him. That's going to be a problem. I think so the Bengals, I don't know how they're going to live up. Like, they're going to need more from Burrow to live up to what they've done the last few years. They're not, like, I don't think they're necessarily a better team than when they went to the Super Bowl.
Their whole team is around Burrow. Our whole team isn't around Kenny Pickett.
Correct. Right. And Burrow's contract is coming. Like, I've got a War Room show coming on like this week about quarterback contracts, and like especially after the contract from the what's his name? The quarterback at the Chargers, Herbert.
Herbie got one. He got the big deal.
Well, and he should have got more than that. I think he should have got a bit more than that. But anyway, but he signed a 4-year deal. If he'd signed it bigger, it would be good. So there's that element from the Bengals side of things. With the Ravens, they've had every narrative under the sun. They're like, they sort of go out and get Mollett this week. They also like new offense. Lamar's going to end up. Anytime Lamar sees pressure, he runs. But like I just don't see it. I don't think they're deep.
Are the Ravens the same though as the previous 2 years? I don't think they are. They're bringing all the old veterans in. They got Mollett. Like, that's not a great signing. He's okay.
If they didn't have the middle linebackers that they have, which are going to be really strong for them, I'm like, I don't see the fear in that. Like, yeah, the Steelers might lose one game to them, but I don't see them as. Put it this way, I'd rather play them in the playoffs than the Chiefs, the Bills, like Miami, because I don't want to take on Tyreek Hill there. Like, there's a heap of teams I'd rather play. Like, I'd rather not play than the Ravens, and I just think the Steelers have their number, even with Big Ben at the end of his career. Yeah,
5-1 the last 6 games. They should have been. Trubisky wins that game 6-0. Remember that 5-1.
And that Kenny play from last year, that will remember in Kenny's head. The
Najee one.
He went to Baltimore, to Najee, to keep the winning season, final drive. Like, that's huge. Absolutely killer. Then, I don't even see the Ravens. And then I look at the Browns. I look at the Browns and I'm like,
the who? They've been non-existent all season. They're trying to be quiet because with
the Browns, Kareem Hunt's not there, right? He'll get picked up by someone else. He obviously doesn't want to go back there. I hear everything under the sun about Garrett. I'm sick of hearing that. They got some decent. They drafted well over the last couple of years. They've got some good cornerbacks, but apart from that, like, you're one injury to Nick Chubb away from season bye-bye, right?
He's a good running back.
He is yet to spend a lot of time out of the game. I think this is his 4th year. If that's the case, or if Mari Cooper goes down, bye-bye, right? And that's even accounting for Deshaun Watson coming back.
Can he win games? Like, can Watson win games? I think he's kind of like, I don't think he's the same quarterback.
Is he going to win you 2? Like, my thing is he going to win you 3 more than Brissett won? Probably not. And you've spent all that money and all that draft capital on him.
Yeah, I've seen the Twitter where he threw the pass 5 yards into a net, and I saw some other things. He got picked off at the goal line the other day. I don't think that they're checked in, ready to win a Super Bowl or a playoff game or anything. I think they're just a team to play. So, and there's that drama too. That drama, like you said, never going to leave them. It will never leave them.
And you know what's interesting is they were talking about that on Move the Sticks 2 weeks ago with the Browns, because they're always really high on the Browns. But
why?
But Bucky said, and he's known Deshaun Watson since Deshaun Watson was quite young, from like the Elite 8 and all the rest of it, right? And like, I think since Deshaun Watson was like 16 to 18 kind of thing. And they knew him a lot at Clemson. And they said, like, he is a confidence player. He's a player that wants to be in the limelight, wants to be everyone's favorite person. And what this has done to his mentality is crazy. And they basically compared it to like Big Ben. They didn't deeply compare it to Big Ben, but they said, like, there are other quarterbacks in this league that have really struggled when that narrative is shifted, and they're not that like darling of the NFL kind of thing anymore. And there's that, they're a bit more of the villain, and they don't play well into that character.
Well, it's never going to leave ever.
But that's what they said. It's never going to change for him. So he's never going to have the aura, the mentality, the atmosphere around him that he thrives in naturally. That's if you.
Bad.
It's bad. If you were sitting there as a Browns fan, I'd be sitting there going, "What the heck has my team done? They've mortgaged the next decade."
They're like they've had 20 quarterbacks and whatever. This is why I like what Kenny Pickett's doing, because he's a man of the people. He's going around the crowd, signing autograph, crushing beers, working hard at his craft, right? And you have distractions down in Cleveland Brown. They won't do anything. They'll win probably 6 games, something like that. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson wanted to leave. He was thinking about leaving, and then he came back. So, and
sorry, I can't help myself.
and Burrow.
I can't put yours up, Jay.
Okay.
We'll get into trouble.
You know what? That kind of makes sense, because Joe Burrow is going to miss season, right? Training camp. Lamar Jackson, we have his number, and the narrative around Watson won't change. Out of the AFC North, they'll say that Kenny Pickett's the 4th best quarterback, but in reality, he's probably the first. What he's doing, he's working the hardest.
Jeez. The live chat's on fire. I love it. I love it. Especially because we have to cop so much crap from Browns fans on like Twitter and stuff. I'm sick of that.
I had a go the other day at a Bengals fan. He was saying to me, go dust off the old rings. I was like, at least we have rings, mate. You know what I'm saying? You can't until the Browns and Bengals win one, you can't say anything. Nothing.
You should have said, mate, if I put 5 of those rings on and punched you in the face.
And hold the spare one in my other hand. It doesn't. Mate, they said to me there was the Steelers and Cowboys no more rings. I'm like, key word, more.
They should actually, you know what? They should release like a memorial, or like what's the word? Like a limited edition, like when it's like a certain number of years since when I last Super Bowl, where you have like all 7 and it's like a knuckle duster.
Yeah.
I'm 6. We haven't got the 7 yet. I'm pre-counting.
We're getting this year.
You could have the 4 and you could have one either side of it, and it could be like safety for everyone.
I'm going to be the worst person on the internet. If we win 7, I would never shut up about it, ever. It'd be every podcast I'm in. I'm like, let's go 7. Like,
do you know what you could do? You could get like a 7 tattoo, like a Harry Potter lightning bolt on your forehead.
Not that far.
In the live chat, vote now if you want to get a 7.
No. No? That'd be awful. It wouldn't. It would be a mirror image, wouldn't it? It would come out the other way on the camera.
Yes, you have to get it the reverse way.
No, you're right though, right? So AFC North, there's a lot of drama around the Bengals. He won't play the thing. Lamar Jackson wanted to leave, and Watson's Watson. So Kenny Pickett's story is kind of cool right now for what he's doing. Nah, not happening. There's no way you could.
I love that too, Michael. I love that too.
Yeah.
And she's, by all accounts, a very mate,
they're checked in. They're ready to go
together, kind of thing. So
yeah, they're ready to go. Everything is working out for this team, and Kenny Pickett's getting so much slack. But it's like, why is he getting slack? Because he threw 9 interceptions last year when Lawrence threw like 17 or 15 the year before. Come on, man. People throw interceptions. This is fine. It's going to be okay.
But also, Peyton Manning, most interceptions.
What do you have, like 31 or something?
Yeah, 22.
22, jeez. Yeah, so I don't understand. You know what? Sometimes the NFL doesn't like the good guy like this. They don't like Kenny Pickett being the nice guy. Do you know what I mean? They don't like
it's that tall poppy syndrome of like, you can't have it. You can't have it all, Like,
so
why?
I don't even care anymore if we win 5 games in a row, like Joe Mario said, we win 5 in a row, 4-1, right? I don't care if they get behind the Steelers. It's like, just show some respect, because Kenny's going to come out there and compete. He's going to try to win. And if it is scrappy, it's scrappy. But he's going to go there and compete because he's doing that right now in camp. He's training every day.
It's George.
So yeah,
give him a year at least to be married. Come on.
At least not after camp. But no, man, I'm happy with this team. That's why I'm so excited. That's why I'm buying in. I'm hyped up because it's a new era. It's a new era. Kenny doesn't have the ego that Big Ben kind of had. So it's and I love Big Ben, but it's kind of fun.
So for number 1 fan, Marky D, what is the one thing that you really want to see out of camp that you haven't seen yet, or you haven't heard coming out of camp yet? Like, where's that one area that you want to see him really lock down, hammer home?
The one area, so when camp finishes, I want to see. That's a big question. What is the one area I want to see? Of course, I want to see them healthy, but that's an easy answer.
Yeah, I know. We're just playing with you.
The one area I would say, and I've said it before in numerous podcasts, I'd probably say communication, but that comes back to the Kenny stuff with Minka on the field. You know what I want to say actually? I want to see a bit more praise for the offense. Like when they get out of camp, they're like, we are ready to go. We're
Yeah,
a
bit more people giving them a bit of credit, right? Like,
yeah. Well, even the players just saying we're doing this right, we're doing that right, this is happening. And I've also seen a lot of players using the same words together. I can't remember where I saw George Pickens said something that someone else said the other day. I think it was that Kenny said, talking about the goal wasn't his goal. He's got personal goals, but his goal is to win the Super Bowl. And they're all having that mentality. And they're all saying
yeah,
similar
Highsmith
phrases.
said that too. They asked him that in the press conference about, like, you had 14 and a half sacks last year. What's your goal this year? Like, what, have you set personal goals? He goes, none other than, winning a Super Bowl.
And people say that, or players say that, but I feel like these players are talking together more than normal. I think that's like then now, like you have the.
Do you know what? Do you know what I think a lot of this is? Do you remember last year when they lost all those games, and there was that point in the season where and they all talk about, they came together, and that was basically a moment where either we're gonna be like 2-4, 2-15, or we're gonna be able to try and scrape into the playoffs, right? And one more week and of games they probably would have, right? So you sit there and you're like, perhaps they came together and they had these, like, they've been through the adversity and they've sat there and said, look, this is how we've got to come together. If we don't come together, it's not going to happen. You know what? I don't want to trivialize what's been going on with the Steelers. It just feels a bit remember the Titans right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're at the camp, everyone's coming together, everyone's locked in. You bring in the new people in. You're coming together. You're working out who are your friendships. You're working out who are your partnerships. Who are the cornerstones of the team. They're locked in and ready to go.
So you're saying they've already faced that last year when they went for that really bad spell.
Yeah.
Building on this year. They ended on 4 games in a row winning. New guys coming in to buy in.
Like, if they'd finished 2-2, the atmosphere around this team wouldn't be what it is right now. No way.
Yeah, there is something different. I think comes back to being physicality as well. You know what I mean? Overall confidence. We said this on our very first podcast. Whoever ever saw that back in the day, me and Matty said there was something missing. There was something missing with this team. The 11-0 didn't feel the same way. You saw Claypool doing these things. Everyone was fighting each other and stuff like that. The dancing. There was something missing in the team. Big Ben had the ego, of course. It's like, and I love Big Ben, but there was something missing. Now it feels like something's back. It feels like Steelers football is coming back. Run the football, play action, new era, new quarterback. Defense is on fire. Everyone's healthy right now. Every contract's been signed.
Do you know what's interesting?
Everything's
I'm not
done.
saying that. I think Tomlin and Ben are great. I don't think there's any beef between them. But I feel like Mike Tomlin's a lot more relaxed now that Ben's out of that building.
I think the same way with him and Omar Khan. They seem very confident, very like two mates ago. They nod and go, "We've got."
Because Tomlin's the elder statesman, and I'm not saying that Ben ruled Tomlin. Absolutely not. But if there was friction between the two, it would have played out everywhere. If there was friction between him and Colbert, and I'm not saying he doesn't like him. I'm just saying I think people. It's like when you're in a job, and you've been working under a boss for a couple of years, whatever, and they leave, and there might be a new boss come in, or you get promoted, or there's a change in the structure, whatever. But the environment's different, and you've been there and you're hitting your stride, and then suddenly, like, it's all running smoothly. You get more say over things. It's just you just hit a sweet spot. That's just what I feel like where they're at now.
It does feel very different. It's a new era. There's nothing more fun, I think, for right now than us doing podcasting and the viewers also watching this team, because the amount of accessibility of the team too, by watching Kenny Pickett being his second year, all that kind of stuff. Like, this is going to be fun, man. This is going to be extremely exciting to see them compete this year. And why can't they compete? The skill they have, and if I think Michael said before too, like, I'll give Canada a fresh start. I will too. You buy into Canada. If he can score 24 points a game, and they can move the ball down the field, and we still got Boswell, we still got TJ there, of course. You know, all these guys, right? Everything's happening right now. It's just, can they put it all together?
Yeah, exactly. I love that. When are the cuts? So they changed. This is a great question. They changed the rule on this. They've got to drop 10 after the. I think was going to scroll up on this week and explain it to everyone for Mad Monday. I think they dropped 10 after the first game. There was a change in this rule. Like, let me pull it up. There was a change in this rule.
I think 10 gets dropped, and then after the preseason, I think they all get dropped.
Yeah, but there was a change in like how there was a change in how they're doing it this year. Yeah, so yeah, that's right. Rosters can remain at 90 players through the final preseason game, after which
the final. So it's 90 to the end.
Yeah, that's what I was. But I thought they changed it to in my head. That it was 80 after between week 2 and week 3. But no, they're moving that around. So yeah, you can set 90. I think the Steelers will drop people. I think they'll be sitting at less than 90 before that final preseason game. They'll start cutting, or they'll be bringing people in that they want a quick look at. So they might have had a high draft rating on or something like that. So,
but do you feel like there's anything left to be done? Because even Omar Khan acknowledged that there's everything's kind of like tied up now with contracts. There's nothing really need to be settled. Everything's kind of settled.
I think it's just the whole 3 safety Neil coming down in the box is that working or is it not? I think is like how much have I talked about center this off season, and then
like backup center.
Yeah, and then it was a question that was asked to Mike Tomlin, not Mike Tomlin. It was a question that was asked directly to Omar Khan in his press conference, the first press conference this week. People keep asking about James Daniels. James Daniels is not going to play center. He's the guard. They're not moving him, right? But he talked about and as much as people hate it, he talked about Kendrick Green. He talked about Ryan McCollum. But then the other thing he talked about, which is interesting because of Herbig there and Dotson, which is what I said, is he talked about Ciamalo, because Ciamalo, when he came out of college, if you go back to the day he was drafted, they said he's probably going to be a center in the NFL. So that's kind of interesting. No one talked about Spencer Anderson. Doesn't surprise me because it's a 7th round draft pick. And I also think Spencer Anderson's going to be a much better guard. So I'm hoping someone else can fill that backup center role. Center's the one on offense is one position. And then say on defense, is there more of a coverage linebacker, strong safety? But otherwise than that, I actually do think the defense is looking pretty tight.
That's what I'm saying. I still like
it. Wouldn't be tied up if they hadn't got Golden, but the fact they've got Golden, like they're Golden with Golden kind of thing.
Yeah, but everything seems almost complete now. Just go put the schemes together. Go start playing, and that's why I think the media's going crazy now because they got to actually report on what's happening, and then they don't like that. It's hard to report. This guy caught a ball. They'd rather make up stories.
Well, Michael O'Malley, this is exactly what we were saying. Like at the start of the show, is like I'm more of I want to see them on the field playing preseason football, whereas Marky D's like pure pumped. Yeah, they've already won. They've already won 17-0. The Brian Brown, Kendrick Green, T-Rex alert.
Yeah, I reckon. It's a different feeling, man. And I think our podcast has really changed from the 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just something, just the players coming in, and now TJ talked about playoffs and winning, and he wants to win one. He hasn't won a game yet, stuff like that. So there's just so many different little narratives and storylines.
Adam rank record thing he did this week.
8 and 9 or something, or 7 and 8, was it? No, 7.
It was 9 and 8. Or it was 8. Yeah, it might have been 8 and 9. But like, there was games that he had them losing, and I'm like, what are you on? Like, what
was it the Browns? I think we were the Browns twice, and
the Texans.
No, that's not going to happen. They're going to they'll carve up whoever.
Someone commented on the video that was really funny. That was on YouTube. They were like, if you're a true Steelers fan, they'll beat the 49ers, beat the Browns, then lose to the Raiders.
Yeah, true. Remember the Raiders got Jimmy G out that way, right? Jimmy G, and their running back doesn't want to. They got drama though. Their running back doesn't want to start for them.
Yeah,
So I just don't think there's not.
Well, they lost Waller. Waller will be a big loss for them.
Oh, real? Oh, he went to the Giants, didn't he? Yeah, that's right. No, I reckon we can compete this year. I got a feeling. I say it every year, but this year feels different.
Nah, it does though. You know what I mean? You feel more confident in when you say that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like when you said it before, you're like a 6 or a 7 out of 10.
Like last year, I probably shouldn't have said it because I was like, we didn't even know it was going to start week 1. Right. Like look at last year. It was like Trubisky starting, and
but you and I, in fairness, thought they were going to do more with Kenny Pickett in the preseason to get him ready to go than they ended up doing, and they didn't do that, right? So that's actually not on you and I, right?
It's on damn Steelers and damn Coach Tomlin. You messed up. But then last year I was like still confident, but looking back at it, this year is just it's more everything's coming together. It really is coming together. Whereas they were starting Trubisky week 1 and they just won the game by a missed field goal and Minka blocked the field goal. It's like crazy.
I know, Michael, but I also most every other coach in the NFL, if not every other coach, would have had a losing season by now. So
They're not gonna fire him. I think in the next 2 years, they talked about it as well. Omar Khan doesn't control it, but they're gonna.
Rooney talked about it as well, and it's like we don't do that every time early. And he said it's up to Mike. Like basically,
that's why I'm kind of over the discussion right now, firing Tom, because it's been going for so long. It's like, well, we now have this new team.
I don't want to talk about it anymore. If someone says fire Tomlin to me, my answer is who's replacing him. And if you don't have an answer, like conversation's over for me. In general, like full stop going forward, henceforth.
I don't really care anymore. It's like.
I think if people are entitled, look, don't get me wrong.
100% they can. They can do what they want, but it's
and also don't get me wrong. If they don't win a playoff game this year, I'm going to be like, what the heck do you need to do? But the first thing for me is fire Canada, right? Like,
well, that's the thing.
Or if the offense is going well and the defense isn't performing, I'm not the biggest Terrell Austin fan. How many times last year did I say Canada's copping flack for stuff that Austin did, right? Like.
Austin was like the guy that was like, "Oh, thanks, Canada." Thanks,
Austin should have bought himself a lottery ticket at times last year.
So, but the thing is, like,
but then in fairness to him, he didn't have TJ Watt, and the whole defense is built around TJ Watt. So,
Yeah, but to me, it's like, well, okay, say Tomlin does struggle over the next 2 or 3 years, and they won't re-sign the contract, whatever. And then it's see you, mate, goodbye, time's up. That's okay. I'm not going to hate the guy. I've been cheering the guy for 16 years. I'm not going to be a bad friend or a bad supporter of Mike Tomlin. I like the guy. I like his wisdom and I like his Tomlinisms too. So I'm checked in. I think it's new though. Now they're giving him Tomlin's team. I guess it's Tomlin's team now. So can we just not like end the debate?
Well, let's leave it. Brian Brown can close out the show.
Exactly.
That's it.
What? we have won. We have one Super Bowl for Tomlin. It's like, what more do you want? Just keep going. I'm good. Are we closing the show? Oh, go Steelers. Here we go. Let's go.